All right, here we go. Underground Assault, the gnarliest podcast in the world. And today we've got the one and only Insolate on the show. How you doing?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Hey Insolate, it's nice to have you. How you doing in Croatia? What's the situation looking like?
I think it's everywhere is the same. So we are still in lockdown. Nothing is working. No clubs, no gyms, no nothing. So actually, we are staying at home, working from home, keeping
Right.
ourselves busy, and just waiting for all of this to be finished and to start living again normal life.
Yeah, right. Like, okay, you guys are on complete lockdown. Like, no bars or anything. Restaurants are open either. Right. Same as in Berlin. It's funny because in places like I'm half Spanish, and in Spain, the restaurants and bars are totally open, which to me is quite weird. But
Yeah.
I think the rest of Europe is kind of like the same.
Well, maybe
Um,
so that's why they can have open bars and everything.
mhm.
Actually, I was really surprised because a few days ago I got a message from my agent, and she was telling me like, "Would you like to go to Colombia to play in March?" And I was like, "What?"
No shit.
And I don't know. Now we are working on that, and
Okay.
hopefully everything's gonna be open after March or something. So let's fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's see how things develop. I've also seen that they're trying to organize, or they're starting to organize a fusion festival here in Berlin as well. They're starting to organize it. They're gonna like basically split it into two different weekends and do like, instead of one weekend 70,000 with 70,000 people, they're gonna do like 35,000 on the one weekend and 35,000 on the other. I don't know how that will
Cool.
work.
We need to hope that everything is gonna be okay till summer or whatever. We need to continue to plan everything, parties and everything. And okay, if we need to cancel again, it's nothing new to us. So let's at least pretend that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Let's at least pretend. Yeah, let's be optimistic about it, right? All right. So, why don't we just start from the beginning, right? So, can you tell me a little bit about your upbringing in Croatia and how you first started getting into music?
Mm. Actually, I started to go to parties very early. It was already, I think I was super young, and it was year 95, I think. Actually, I couldn't stay longer till 10 p.m. outside. So I was the one who was coming first to the party and staying for the warm up DJ, actually, from 8 to 10, and then just running home because I couldn't stay more. That was my
What,
first,
because of your parents or
yes,
your
because I was
right?
super young, 15
All
years
right.
old, like that. So it was super young and for a girl, and my
Yeah.
my parents were strict. So actually I didn't stay longer till that time. And then in a few years I started to speak more and more with the people. I started to hang out with the crew, and actually they brought me into that world, and I started to mix. Already I was 17 years old, and yeah, that was my first touch with everything in Croatia. In that time it was a post-war time, so there were many cool bunkers and cool places where you can actually organize parties. So yeah, it was very good time. After that it came golden time of the Croatian techno, and I think I started in the right time to be involved in everything, so it was fun.
Right. So there was like a pretty big techno scene going on, or electronic music scene going on in Croatia in the 90s, right?
Yes.
I saw in the internet somewhere you started in 97. So was that, what was, when did the 90s era start? Like in 97 or like in the 90s, kind of like in Berlin, or what
So
was that
first
like?
I started after the war, so 93, 94,
Right.
but I was not involved in actually in that. I was the second, let's say, second generation
Right.
of the DJs that actually came in this techno electronic scene. So yeah, it was I started in 97, and then we already had some clubs and already some really really cool places where we can actually go out. So it was really really good time.
Right, right. It's interesting how, you know, in Berlin, it's kind of similar to what you just described, like post-war era kind of triggers, you know, this big techno scene, which, you know, derives in a big community, which is, I don't know, in Berlin, obviously, you know, it's been, you know, like a safe scape for people from minorities. It's been, you know, a scene that's brought people together. Do you feel like that's been the same in Croatia?
Yes, I think it was young people wanted to show their they were not satisfied with the whole situation after the war, and actually because why war actually happened and everything. So I think it was our answer to whole situation and politic situation actually in that time in Croatia. So I think as before in 70s there was like punk and rock, you know, they were like really young was going into the streets and fight for their rights. I think this was our fight for our right, but to party.
Right, right, right. Just in a different way, right?
Like fun track.
Okay, super nice. Yeah, I would have liked to have lived that, you know, that '90s era in Europe. Must have been crazy, I guess. I was a little bit too young, but so what were the? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to say that there was no rules actually. You know, we could do parties anywhere in all these bunkers and everything. There was no like licenses and all of these other things what we need to do now to make a party. So it was in one way it was easier way to express yourself without bureaucracy and everything. So
Right, right, right. So why was that? Like, why did the government have such a, you know, liberal approach to the techno scene or to the braving scene?
they had a liberal view. I think the country was in making, you know, and they didn't know how to do it actually.
Right, 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 right.
Bother with us because we were not their biggest problem. Before us, the biggest problem was probably making the country and making function country, you know. So that was the biggest problem. We were not
Of course.
on their mind.
Right, right. Understand. It's funny how to, you know, as I said before, like out of these bad situations, like a post war era or in Berlin after the you know Soviet Union era, how yeah they trigger these good situations. Right. So could you tell me a little bit about your main influences and how your productions have evolved since you first started out making music?
Yeah, sure. Well, when I started in '97, I actually played everything. You know, I was super young DJ, so I didn't know anything. So I played house, techno, trance, everything. Like it was a mixture of everything. I was just having fun and I didn't thought about what I want to say with the music. So after that, around 2000, I started to play only techno. So I'm in techno from 2000, and actually I was really really inspired by whole Napoli scene, Italian scene. In that time, Carola, Gaetano
Right.
Parisio,
Hmm.
and other guys, you know, they were really inspiring to me, and I really love that kind of techno. Also, I was really a big fan of Gel Ford then,
Hmm.
and I was a big fan of his label Jericho.
Hmm.
So I have every vinyl from from that label. That's so crazy.
Right.
Uh, yeah, but they had a really big influence on me, and I was thinking today actually how nowadays I started again to play similar music, which I played in 2000
Hmm.
when I started. So I thought to myself, did I make a full circle, you know, with all of this?
Right.
I hope the end of the
Yeah.
full circle. Well, because now I again play the similar style of techno and this kind of rhythmic, funky techno, you know. So
Yep.
yeah,
All
it was a
right.
good,
So
really inspiring.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. My internet connection just blew off. I'm sorry about that. So silly.
It's super funny.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So, sorry, you were saying that you basically, noticed that you did like basically a full circle from when you started out to right now. What was the, what did it look like in the middle, between now and before? Like, what other genres have you been inspired by, other artists?
Yeah, actually my base was always techno. So sometimes it was a little bit more minimal, sometimes it was more hard, more ravey. It really depends. It was like ups and downs through these many years, 20 years of doing this. So I experienced a lot, and now I found myself actually on the beginning. So
Right,
that's
right, right.
funny.
Yeah, okay. So, can you tell me a little bit about what the scene in Croatia looks like? I've never been to Croatia. I would love to, but I've heard a lot about it. And what does the scene look like? What are the clubs? What music oriented are the clubs? And then you guys have basically this other party scene with the islands and stuff that kind of sounds a little bit more like Ibiza style. Could you give me a little breakdown on that?
Yeah, sure. Whole coast and islands and everything, as you said, it's more like Ibiza style. They're more like commercial or progressive electronic music. But actually, I would like to mention my city Osijek. It's we have a really good scene. Like I'm really proud of what we done here, and with my Traum event, we made a super nice thing. Brought many great DJs here, and actually built really strong scene. So I think if we are looking into techno and what I'm doing, I would say that my small city have the strongest scene, quality underground scene in Croatia. But of course, there are many other scenes like Zagreb, our capital. They have a lot of house music also. And as I said, Coast is maybe a little bit more commercial, commercial techno, commercial, everything, a little bit commercial, of course, because of the tourists and
Mhm.
everything. What's the type of people that are actually going there. So, but there are also very nice festivals on the coast. So you can find some really nice names actually that plays on these festivals. So you can find something for yourself if you are, for example, my profile of customer. I could find some festival that I could visit definitely in Croatia too. But I will say the most praise for my city.
Totally, totally. Okay, so you guys have like a wide variety of the techno that you can offer. So you mentioned your Traum events, which means what does it mean in German? It's a German word, right?
Yes, it's
Means
dream.
exactly, it means dream. So you guys have booked Paula Temple, Antigone, among others, like quite big names, super nice artists. And you mentioned, your home city. Well, and how do you feel you guys have influenced through these events the scene in your city?
Actually, a lot. I think we actually built the scene after this period of no parties. Actually, in Croatia, after 2012, it was really bad situation. There was no parties. Nothing was happening. Like for a few years because of police on the party and many other stuff.
Mhm.
And then again, we started these events, I think in 215, I think, or 16, I'm not sure. And we started with a small, of course. It was Club Nacht. It was the name of the events. Not so small intimate parties for, I don't know, 100, 200 people. And after that, we came to one point that the, sm- the club where we were actually organizing that was too small for us. So we went to some other, not club places, some off venues, and I don't know. We had one venue on the sports airport, in the hangar, and actually we could have there 600 people, 700. It depends on the event. And we invited really cool names, as you said, like Paula Temple Etapp, Antigone, Francois X,
Yep.
many, Milton Bradley, Ellen
Yep.
Rain, lot of cool names, and actually all parties were really full. So I think in that period when there was no techno parties, it was more like in my city was more like drum and bass, break beats. It
Hmm.
was that kind of era, like for two,
Hmm.
3 years, and nobody was actually doing techno parties. So we took this techno scene to the another level, definitely. And after that, now we have many organizers that are actually doing a lot of parties, techno parties, and scene is really big. So
Right.
um, well, now there is no scene,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I can imagine.
let's see after all this finish what is gonna happen. So yeah.
Right. You know, but it's super cool because it sounds like you guys really, covered a part in the market, a need in the market, in the techno scene market, and you guys obviously did a super good job of it. So, like, what was the motivation? Like, you felt you were obviously having gigs, around Europe or whatnot, and you felt like that was missing. This kind of techno scene was missing in your home town, or what did that look like? Where did the motivation come from?
Yeah, actually, that is exactly the reason why we done it. One time I was sitting with my friends that are also DJs from my hometown, and we were just speaking. Okay, nothing is happening. Okay, when we have free weekend, we don't have anywhere to go, and we were only bitching.
Yeah.
And then we said, okay, who will do something if we will not do?
Yeah.
And try to make something. I know it's gonna be hard. It's gonna maybe take few years to get what we want, but
Yeah.
let's try to do it. And then that's how we started. And after Club Nacht Traum happened, and it's really one big, beautiful friends project. Yeah.
Right, super nice. No, that's super nice mentality and actually quite visionary from your side. Okay, so let's start talking a little bit about your projects. I really like your last project, Order is Chaos. How would you describe your sound for someone that, I'm super bad at classifying between genres and stuff like that. Apparently everyone that I ask is super bad at it, and I don't want to throw anything out there. So how would you describe your sound to someone that doesn't really know that much about techno?
Well, one time, one fan actually described my sound really great, and I just stuck to it. Nowadays, I can say I'm doing rhythmic cardio workout tracks, so it's crazy.
For real. Okay. Yeah.
No, but actually, Order It was that was my album, and there I wanted to make um, a little bit wider picture of myself, actually,
Mhm.
as a person, producer, and musician overall.
Right.
And I wanted to include with every each track, I wanted to include one part of my life as while I'm in this music. So you can
Mm.
hear some tracks that are remind you on 90s, and
Mhm.
then on further on my whole music life. So I wanted to include from every part of my music life something. So it's very versatile album actually.
Right. So you're talking about virtual being, right? At the moment, or
No, I'm
you,
talking
or in general.
Order is Chaos, my album.
Oh, right. Okay, so exactly. So sorry. Virtual being is your last EP.
Yes.
Order is
Co-
Chaos is your debut album, right? I've seen you. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I don't understand this differentiation between. I guess an EP is way shorter than an album, but I don't know. It was quite weird to me because I read on Resident Advisor that your Order is Chaos album was your debut album, and I was like, but I don't know. I can see the mood module, for instance, on Spotify is 2016. So I didn't really understand, but now, all right,
I'm producing from last 5 years, let's say.
right,
Um, I made this album last year. So yeah.
Right, right. Okay, so what started getting you into producing, and why? Because you started in '97, I guess, DJing. So what did that step look like for you to start getting into producing?
Well, it was definitely it was, for me, it was a big relief because in that time, when I started producing, sorry, I said 5 years, it's 15 years. Sorry.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought so.
5 years, so sorry.
Yeah. That's all right.
So when I started to produce, my God, I'm so old. When I started to produce, actually, in that time, I didn't have so much gigs, and it was super, super strange time with the scene, with the money, with everything. So I need to um, rethink about everything what I'm doing because all my life was my only job. You know, I never
Mhm.
worked anything else than music,
Right.
as I started so young, and I just when I finished college, I just continued to play gigs, and it was only thing I was doing all my life. So
Right.
I need to rethink about what is happening, now when you don't have gigs and you don't play so much, and there is a change of sound or what is popular or whatever. And then I found out that the biggest relief for myself is to enter the studio and try to make something um, that I produced,
Mm.
and in that time it was like a psychotherapy for me.
Right.
And of course after that I produced after that every day, and um, it was then more than just my relief. It was the way I expressed myself. So yeah, in it came because of the need,
Mm.
because I didn't know what to do next, and I needed to express myself somewhere. And now it's just a part of me. I can't really think about uh, day or what whether all my this my how to say, I can think of my career
Mhm.
without producing or without DJing. It's for me it's the same. I need to have both.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand, right? It's kind of a logical transition, right? Like if you start out DJing after 7 years, what are you gonna do? Like it's kind of obvious if you want to be an artist, right? Okay, so oh yeah, that description you gave about this, your sound, this fan describing your workout sound. Is that why you named this song Legs Day on this V
Yeah,
Eclipse, right? Right.
really inspired.
I
But
can understand that. Yeah. It's super nice. Like I feel like you've got like super motivating music, super deep kick, dance floor oriented music for sure. Um, so why did you decide to release Order is Chaos? Just 1 year ago after 14 years producing. Why would you wait so much to release this? And we'll get into this as well. But why did you decide to release it on your own label? Yeah, basically.
well, it was also after that long time I was DJing and producing. I really wanted to make something that will be like a crown to that time I'm in the music. So actually my album was like expression of all these years that was behind me, and that way maybe I thought after that I will start something new, something fresh. It's gonna refresh me. So that's actually the reason why I made my album.
Mm.
And actually it was after a long time I'm in all of this. Normally my colleagues release them much before, the album and everything, but I was never how to say, I didn't thought it is the time for that. I didn't
Right.
felt ready to
Mhm.
release it. So that's why I waited for so much time. And I released it on my label, yeah, because it's my label.
Yeah. Right.
I want to have it on my label in my house, so it was super special for me to have it, my first album on my label.
Yep.
something special.
Yeah, it makes total sense as well. Like if you want to take the label into a certain direction, or link a certain sound to it, and obviously it's your label, it would make total sense. So can you tell me a little bit about the both Matrix Man and Sararina features slash remixes slash collaborations you've got on your album? Why these artists? What you were looking for, with them, and why you decided to get artists other than yourself to collaborate on your debut album.
Well, that was actually also one thing that I'm not normally doing, So I'm not really big person on collaboration. Only one reason is that's because I don't know how to do it. I'm working on my own, and somehow I felt that I'm working that way the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to try also something new. Actually, before that, I released one EP with Arnaud Letexier, and it was really fun. But we were working on distance, so we never worked in studio together. So um, in that way, also had my own space and time and everything. So I wanted to push myself a little bit more, and that's how the collaboration actually with Matrix Man came out.
Right.
We met one time, and then we were speaking a lot through the internet. And as I'm coming to Berlin, well, I was coming to Berlin really often because of my agency is there, and I play gigs almost every 1 or 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then we set up one studio meeting, and actually we jammed for I don't know 5, 6, 7 hours
Right.
there, and that's how this track came to life. So Monolith is the track that we made together, and he was really nice and told that I can release it on my album, and for me it was really really big thing, of course. And with Sara Renar, well, that is the other story. She's the singer from Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard her on one festival, and that time it was she made just not unusual, not usual sound for pop singer, So I was talking with my boyfriend. Oh my God, we need to have some collaboration with her, or maybe to book her for our Traum parties, make something
Mm-hmm.
special. That
Yep.
was like first original idea. And when I started to work on my album, I decided to contact her, and we started to speak. And I saw that she's totally techno in soul.
Right.
She's the she's techno. And
Right.
we set up one studio weekend here at my place, and actually we were jamming these 2 days constantly. I have like hours and hours material from that, and that's how we made a few tracks together, and I decided to release actually two of them on my album,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of them we made four or five more that will come out on one Berlin's label vinyl.
Mm-hmm. Which
I
label? Sorry.
can't announce it
All
yet,
right.
but the label is from Berlin,
Right.
and gonna come out I think in 2 or 3 months. So
Mm-hmm.
this depends, but it's gonna be a vinyl. So that's gonna be actually our first EP together.
Right. Okay, so it sounds like it's quite, spontaneous, and you're not really looking for anything extremely, specific when collaborating with artists, other than obviously them, you liking their sound, and you probably liking them as people. So I don't know. Some people have told me they have to know the artists personally for them to collaborate with them or remix them. Um,
Actually, for me, it's maybe just the opposite. I
mhm,
really like to explore new people, maybe because maybe it's better not to know everything about the artist and what to expect and where is that is going to lead you to.
mhm.
That's how with Sarah everything turned out so great and exciting,
Right.
because it was unexpected what we gonna do and what we're gonna make in the end. So
Right. Right. So yeah, it's also interesting that on Order is Chaos, like the artists that are on your project are basically collaborations. They're not remixes. Let's jump to Virtual Being. I really like your version, your first original version of Virtual Being. Extremely motivating, super nice. And then you've got the DJ Dextro remix, right? So I didn't know DJ Dextro, but I really like the remix. So the question would be, what are you looking for when someone is remixing your track? Are you giving them total freedom, which I don't know, to me it makes sense, or are you giving them some kind of guidelines and modifying the track?
Well, actually, in this situation with Virtual Being, I was not in charge for the remixers because the label was actually looking for the remixer, and that's how they come to to the to this choose that they make.
Hmm.
But normally, when I'm asking someone to do me a remix, I give them total freedom because I feel that it's the same with me. You know, when I'm asked to do a remix for somebody, I never had anybody to say me, okay, I want that this remix sounds like this and this your track, or because
Yep.
you need to feel the track. You know, when I listen to the track and I listen to the samples I got, then I got the idea what will I make. I can't make the track that I already made,
Yeah.
you know. And for me it's always something new. That's how I also made a Virtual Being, because I was exploring a lot new VSTs that I got, and I I jumped into maybe totally different sound that people will actually recognize me.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I love to explore, and I'm never stuck to one thing. So
Right. Um, so that kind of reminds me of having a conversation with this artist called Giordano. He and these other this duo called Fractions from the Czech Republic. They told me basically the same thing, which is when they sent demos to labels and stuff like that, they kind of, for instance, this duo Fractions, they've released on Mon and Black. They sent their demos to Dax J, and Dax J kind of gave them some tips like, please change this, please change that, please do this, please do that. I like the track fundamentally, but change these little things. Both as an artist and as a label owner, how open are you to expressing these modifications and introducing them to your music?
actually, yes, a lot. I don't have a problem with that. Somebody tell me, maybe this is gonna sound better. Maybe try this, or
Mhm.
actually, my remix that I made for the guys from Hex,
Mhm.
from Barcelona. Actually, they told me like, okay, this sound maybe sound a little bit weird, and I didn't had any problem to look into that and to
The
change.
Raving
Actually,
on Paris, right?
so I think we made a really really good track with all this modulation and everything. There is no problem for me. Also, with my label, when producers send me their own tracks or remixes, if I feel that maybe some sound or something it's not didn't get good in the mix, or maybe it's sufficient or whatever, I talk with the artists about that, and we try to make the best of the track, because this is the most important. It's not important, it shouldn't be ego about that. We need to make a really good track. That is the most important.
100%. Yeah, totally agree with you on that one. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your record label now that we were mentioning it. So, well, I was listening to your interview with Home of Sound, and so you actually founded this label with your boyfriend Volster, right? So, what was I know you've already had an interview where you've explained the motivation behind the label, but I think it would also be nice if you explained a little bit here, what the motivation was behind the label. Um, Exactly, and what you were looking for when founding that label.
Actually, in the time when we were thinking about a label, Marco and I, we wanted to have a platform where we gonna release our music. That was the first thing we were thinking about. Okay, we will make a label. We wanted it to be vinyl label, and we want to release our own music without any thinking about that. When you send to some other labels your tracks, they will say, okay, I will take this 2, 3, 4 track, and I will not take first or sixth. And you as an
Yeah.
artist think, okay, it's important to have them all in the EP to make the story.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted to do with our label. We can put whatever we want, whatever we feel that it's our story, we will put it there. So that was the actually first thing. And in Croatia there was no many labels in that time, so we were one of the first vinyl labels also in Croatia. So
Right.
that's, yeah, it was also really good for the scene and also good for the for us as the artists and producers.
Right, that totally makes sense, right? Because if you're, creating an EP, which, for you has some sense as to why it's structured like this, and, you also mentioned in this Home of Sound interview that it's like kind of linked to experiences you've got someone that's external to all of that and can't really understand, breaking that structure for you might it's kind of frustrating, right?
Yeah, many of these frustrations actually led us to the thing that we make our own label.
Hmm.
But in the end we wanted to make it like a family label also, to include all our friends and all our actually artists that we were inviting to Traum too.
Hmm.
And that's how we have really really nice artists on the album. Now I wanted to make something different because nowadays I'm taking care more of Out of Place, and Marco is taking more care of his own label Secession.
Right.
And I wanted to include a lot of young artists. I wanted to give chance to young artists because there are so many great young artists. And for now, we got really really nice artists that actually I think they're gonna make changes in a whole this music industry, and actually have have really successful careers. So I'm happy to have them. For most of them, that was the first EP that they ever released. So
Hmm.
a really big honor for me, and also I love to discover new talents. So
Yeah, 100%. That must be like super nice feeling to have that opportunity to, discover that kind of talent and give them their actual first opportunity to release their EP and give them that, you've already got a name for yourself, you've already got, an event platform and you're helping out, and you're actually also, kind of guiding what the techno scene or the techno sound is cool at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so Milton Bradley, developer, Joe Farr. I didn't know Francois X or Janice, but so these artists are from Croatia, or do you, you're all open, you're open to collaborate, obviously, with any other artists out of Croatia.
yes,
Okay,
with everybody.
of course.
Francois is from France,
Yeah.
and Jen is from Berlin, actually.
Right, right, right. But I guess and so don't you, see an opportunity to give some, more international exposure to artists also from your home country? Do you look
Of course.
of doing this?
We are
Right,
open for all the demos.
right.
I'm listening to everything what we got, and actually I'm trying to answer to everybody with just a note, what I think maybe they can work on, or do I feel this sound is good for us or not.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I try to keep it also personal with
Hmm.
all of them, and from many of these promos actually now we have really successful releases that are out now on Out of Place.
Right, right, right. Okay, so let's go back a little bit to the techno scene in Croatia because I'm quite interested, I've talking to different artists about their home country, what it looks like. I live in Berlin, so I know the scene in Berlin. I don't really know. I know the scene in Spain a little bit, quite different to here. So, how we were talking about the techno scene in Europe or in Berlin has been kind of like an escape for minorities. You know how people Berghain, for instance, is like a place where anyone can go to be themselves and so forth. So all of this, LGBTQ community, um, it's fetish clothing, all of that. What does it look like when you go to a big club in Croatia, or a club with that represents the scene in Croatia? Is this kind of similar to Berghain, the role Berghain plays in Berlin? Is it different? Are people as open as here for for minorities?
Hello.
I'm sorry, my internet is so bad. It just fell again. I'm sorry
Are
about
you?
that. Can you hear me? Wait just a second.
Yes, hear you.
All right. Um, Perfect. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that again. Okay, so as I was saying, do you feel like, basically, to summarize, like you know, clubs that actually have a name for themselves in the Croatian techno scene, they're also, you know, an escape for minorities, LGBTQ, and so forth? Do they also play like this kind of role? What can you expect? You know, is it like a, you know, a Possession in Paris vibe, Berghain in Berlin vibe, or is it a different style?
I think in Croatia everything is still a little bit more, how to say it. It's not so wild. We have um, people are not so relaxed as in some, as you said, Possession or Berheim, or I think we are still far away from that. But we have really really good atmosphere. People are enjoying in music, but people in Croatia are still a little bit closed about expressing themselves. But I think with all these parties we can actually give them push to express themselves and to maybe try to be more of themselves and to enjoy maybe in some other ways or whatever, just to be relaxed. For
Right.
now everything is a little bit stuck, but it's like that's how it is in Croatia normally. We
Mhm.
still we need to make a liberation um, on other ways. Now we have our own country, after the war and everything, and I think people are still not free in their minds as they should be. But I think with all these parties, we can definitely do it and free their minds. Yeah.
Right, right. Is it like obviously it isn't as harsh a regime in, or political system in Croatia, but as it is in Georgia, for instance, where there's this very high bipolarity between, you know, Bassiani parties and what the government's policy towards, you know, religion and freedom of expression and so forth. So do you feel it's kind of something like that, where the government is still, you know, limiting, or trying to shape this ideology? I don't know, not really promoting, for instance, LGBTQ, or really promoting, you know, more conservative principles?
Maybe not so much about governments,
Okay.
but definitely about the people, and what they learned, what is right. We need to change all this Balkan, Yugoslavian state of mind, so it
Mhm.
need to pass some time, and we need to show them what is right and that everybody are equal and all of this stuff, that we all live this kind of normal lives, but for some in Croatia this is not normal, because they learned because of their parents, or I think we just need more time to adjust everything, and that people started to be familiarized with what is normal, and
Right.
freedom is normal, so it will come, it's not like in Georgia. We don't have that kind of oppressions
Yep.
with the papers and everything. It's not like that.
Yep.
But you see, maybe this big oppression made Bassiani so free.
Yep. Right.
Sometimes it's also good.
Yep.
We are now somewhere in the middle. Like everything is acceptable, but it's not. But it is. It's in the
Understand.
middle. We need to just find a way to make it to one way.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, no. I guess it's obviously like a transition. I was reading an interview the other day of the Polish, I don't know, some kind of Polish minister or something like that, And in Poland, as you know, they've got like this really conservative government, and they kind of feel like these Western principles are being imposed on them, and they're trying to, get their, their religious principles and so forth. But I'm obviously not in favor of that, but I can understand it's a young democracy, and you need this transitional period. You're not going to make people think differently from one day to the next. So I guess it's kind of a similar situation going on in Croatia, right?
Yes, we just need to continue live our lives as we are living freely, supporting things that we need. We think it's right,
Right. Yeah.
every freedom, LGBTQ, everything what is normal for us. We need to still spread this vibe, and I think after that, it's just gonna stuck on the people, you know.
Right. As long as you've got these good perspectives, everything will go. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's this really interesting documentary on Vice about Bassiani, and how people uh, kind of buy drugs over in Georgia because the drug policy is absolutely crazy. There was this DJ that spent like, I don't know, 6 years in prison for some MDMA or something like that. Quite crazy, yeah. And, them having to buy the drugs through the deep web and stuff like that. But it's super. I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
now when you are saying that, now I remember the times when in Croatia was similar. When you, because of the one joint or something like that, you went for prison for 2 years. So it's crazy. Now
It's
nowadays, this kind of stuff are not happening anymore, of course.
right.
But I didn't saw that documentary about Bassiani. I will definitely look in it.
Super interesting because you get Vice, right? You get the perspectives of everyone on it. They've got the ministers talking about the situation. You've got the Bassiani organizers and founders, and then you've got the actual party goers, ravers, and DJs talking about the situation. I thought it was quite a nice documentary. I didn't really know it was that strict. Actually opened my eyes to what people have to go through to just, I don't know, go party one night. Right. So I've seen you've I'm 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 not happy about not ever having you seen, at a gig or anything like that. But I've been familiar with you for a while. I have seen, on the internet you've DJ'd at Berghain, Tresor, all around Berlin basically, and also festivals like ADE and Tomorrowland. So can you tell me what kind of gigs you prefer and why, between festivals and clubs? And what has been one of your most special experiences, having gigs, and why?
Well, actually, I'm more for the clubs, definitely. Uh, I prefer to play clubs more, and I prefer to visit clubs as party goer. I prefer clubs also. I'm not so much for the festivals, but of course they're also part of this journey and everything. So I'm happy also to do them. But my preferable thing is definitely the clubs because of the vibe, because of the type of sets that you're actually playing on the clubs. It's totally different than on festivals, and of course the timing that you got for playing on festivals. It's like 1 hour, 1 hour 15.
Mhm,
I think it's not enough. Express
mhm.
yourself as a DJ, and everybody they are doing just the showcase of their favorite bangers, in that time. So for me, there is no soul in all this. So I prefer definitely clubs.
Right.
Um, the favorite place where I played, it's so obvious, but I think everybody say that it's Berghain definitely. I was a big fan of the club for many years. I'm going there from 2010, many times a year, and when I first played there in 2000, I think it was 17, I'm not sure. It was like a dream come true, because I had such a big respect for that club and for the overall feeling I have when I'm there. And I don't know, I just feel free and feel myself there. and there are not many places like that in the world, I think, with such a good sound system and everything. So yeah, it was definitely, Berghain was definitely my dream come true
Right.
when I played this time.
Right. Totally understand. Have you also had gigs at Tresor downstairs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Tresor. Actually, one interesting thing is when I changed my name from Miss Sunshine to Insolate.
Hmm.
I had a debut of appearance. My debut gig was actually in Tresor. So
Right.
first time I announced myself as Insolate.
All right, nice. Okay. Um, okay, so what's your opinion on other Croatian artists, for instance, your boyfriend Volster, and what sound is coming out of the Croatian techno scene that you see?
Yeah, well, I can only say that I think that the tracks and music that is going to come from Croatia in the next period and also in the next few years, it's going to be amazing.
Hmm.
So, um, as I heard from all these DJs, also from Traum and Wolster is also one of them. They're preparing such a great music, and I'm so happy where all of our collective is going towards too. So really, really great techno music. And about the rest of crews, also there are many great crews from Zagreb, from Pula, from Rijeka, from Split, Šibenik, many other towns from Croatia. They're all different genres, but quality DJs, good DJs. I would only maybe wish that they are more included into international scene. You know, they
Right.
are a little bit stuck in only Croatian scene.
Hmm.
I would really love that they spread their wings,
Yep. Yep.
go places. You know, because that's really important for developing yourself.
Totally understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So you couldn't tell me about a specific sound that's coming out of Croatia, same as if you asked me about what sound is coming out of Paris, this new rave wave, new trance wave, or whatever possession, basically. So could you specify
categorize
that?
now.
I'm
You can
sorry.
categorize now.
Oh yeah, well, it's that one's kind of easy to categorize. I feel like, but yeah, I don't know. So that your music is obviously ravey music, but it's same as I wouldn't like to categorize Matrix Man's music or Ellen Alien's music into this is rave music because I don't really think it's fair to say that 100% because you can
uh,
also listen to it at a gym or something like that, like yours.
I can definitely say that we maybe prefer more like a rhythmic kind of techno.
Hmm.
Uh, we're all a little bit stuck on that right now. Also, hypnotic kind of techno and a lot of actually label from Wolster Secession Records is more like hypnotic techno.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm so bad in labeling everything, but
Yeah.
uh,
I'm
great
sorry.
music.
I didn't want to make you do that. I'm sorry.
I will make.
Right. Okay. So I also find quite interesting to ask artists, how you approach you because you mentioned what you mentioned about the sets that you play at festivals, or another good example might be at her. This the Berlin, Amsterdam Red Radio kind of like set platform. Her. You know what I mean? Or, or for instance, I saw you also did a brunch in the park. Was that in Barcelona, I think? Right.
Yes.
So how do you approach these sets in comparison to how you would approach a set that where you can, fully express yourself like at Berghain or at any other, club where you
It's
can do
totally
that?
journey, totally different journey. I can also that compare to all of the sets we are doing right now with all these live
Mm,
sets and live streams and everything. You know, you just need to get into zone. For me, maybe first time when I was doing live stream without the public, only cameraman in front of me. I maybe didn't felt right. But then I was just start to thinking, okay, what would it feel if I play there or there? That I'm doing sets for somebody there, and then you just start to imagine in your head, and that's how I approach to my sets.
Right.
Also, hope
Right.
I sometimes you maybe miss the point, but sometimes you get it right,
Hmm.
because same in the set, when I go to play in Brancham Park, where is sunny and beautiful, but I know that it's that kind of public that from the Hex crew that they love harder and ravey, then
Right.
you will approach that's different than when you play 4 hours at Berghain, when you can showcase your whole variety, of sounds, and it's different, you
Right.
need I love to make like a really good think about where I'm going to play for who, and then
Mhm.
I shape myself sets like that.
Right, right. I totally understand. So do you really prepare, I guess it's a stupid question, right? But do you really prepare a set even if it's at brunch in the park?